Boom, 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 boom. Nah, I'm just playing. Yeah, yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yep. Yeah, man. Uh, yeah. Let's get it.
You are now tuned in to the Red Spot Podcast. Give me more of that.
What's good? What's good, man? It's your dude, Sunchild Beach. You know it's the Red Spot Podcast. You know how we get into it, man. This is a live broadcast tonight. And tonight, y'all, we will be previewing three artists tonight. Two, what I like to call the Botswana connection. That's Flexior 7 and Young Lava Kid, man. So y'all already know who that is. And Kel been on it, that St. Louis own, and not to mention that that is my son. No, literally, that is my son's son, and I'm not giving him a break. Like I said it before, he been working on his craft, and you know he ready to get out there and do his thing. So I'm gonna do my part. You feel me? But anyway, y'all, if you want to donate to Red Spot Podcast, or you would like to become a sponsor for Red Spot Podcast, excuse me, all you got to do is send an email to redspotpodcast@gmail.com, and we gonna get back to you. Anyway, y'all, without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, I want to first give y'all a round of applause because I don't normally go live too often. And the reason why I don't normally go live too often because there is a lot that goes into doing the podcast, and especially when you are chief operator, when you have to do everything, there is a lot that go into it. So y'all, I'm gonna give myself a round of definitely that. Yep. Yeah. So you know how we do, man. You know, so I had to cut off the round of applause because the round of applause act like it didn't want to cut off. Anyway, y'all, let's get right into it, baby. Yeah.
You are now tuned in to the Red Spot Podcast. Give me more of that.
Now, y'all, tonight what we talking about, we're going to get right into it. Tonight what we talking about is the music industry. There's a lot of young people that want to hop in the music industry not really knowing what to expect. And they get into these contracts really without reading the contract because you got to understand that the people that are ahead of these record companies are usually not even people that deal in music per se. These are usually people that are attorneys. Okay, believe it or not, these are attorneys. These are people who just own companies, and their interest is making money. So they are not your pal. They are not your friend. Even though they may smile in your face, tell you that you have all the talent in the world. And I'm not saying that some people don't form genuine relationships with label heads and label execs. But what I'm saying is it is a rarity that you form the type of relationship where if things go bad, they're going to still treat you as if they did before. So that's one of the things that we're going to be looking into. Now, I know y'all have seen Finesse two times. Finesse two times, you know what I'm saying? That's my man, you know, straight Memphis, straight raw, straight gutter, come from the street. Don't try to be somebody else that he's not. He's not changing for anybody. And that's genuine. That's real. And that's what's going to get him a long way. The guy is ultra talented when it comes to music, when it comes to, I believe, anything that he sets his eyes on, he can accomplish because the guy is hilarious. Okay. The man got the internet in the chokehold right now. You know, when he said, you know, I ate noodles, no packet. You know what I'm saying? Cereal with the powder milk, the canned milk. All right. Waffles, no syrup, jelly. Okay. He didn't say jelly, he said jelly. That's how he said it. See, and then that's straight Memphis right there. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. But y'all know that Finesse two times he signed a contract with Junior over there. Everybody know who Junior is. You know what I mean? Jay Prince Jr. Okay. Now, in my opinion, I personally wouldn't operate with certain people. And the reason why I wouldn't operate with certain people is because, well, you have to understand that certain people have principles, and those principles that they go by may not line up with the principles that you go by. And so I'm pretty sure that before all of this went down, when Finesse two times was in prison, when he was getting out and they put him on a plane, flew him out, did all these extraordinary things for him, I'm pretty sure that he felt that he had family. I'm pretty sure he felt that they were there for him 100% until he started realizing that he wasn't making what he should have been making and that they were making more money off of him. And it got to a point where the man just kind of stopped dropping music. And I guess maybe he did that because he felt, okay, well, if I don't drop no music, then they ain't going to keep eating off of me. All right. But then they're still going to eat off of him because he has what's called a 360 deal. And a lot of artists that get signed, they are now getting the 360 deal. I don't care how you look at it. I don't care what you say. Guaranteed that unless you have a 50-50 partnership or a 60-40, whatever it is, unless you have a partnership, okay, that's meaning distribution, marketing, unless you have a genuine partnership with the label, you are probably going to get what's called a record deal. And now the record deals that they're handing out are 360 deals. The reason why is because a lot of artists aren't making money off of albums. Albums aren't selling as much as albums used to sell back in the day. Now, we recall back in the day, people like Master P, people like Cash Money, Baby and Slim. Those people had some extraordinary deals. Those deals were unheard of at the time. They were getting deals where they were getting straight partnerships. I believe Cash Money raked in a $32 million deal. A $32 million deal. And this just goes to show the business savvy that Birdman and that Slim had to be able to ink such a deal. And they still have the deal, and the deal has been renegotiated so many different times, and they still continue to flourish despite what the media may say. Now, when you look at that, you're saying, how do these labels stay up the way that they do? Well, they have artists. In other words, the artists are the worker bees. The artists go out, they do the work, they put the music out, and then they get the music, and then the business happens. Now, depending on how the business is set up, that's what's going to determine whether or not you're going to eat or whether or not you're going to be in debt. And I'm just going to keep it 100. So what Finesse two times did was he signed a 360 deal, and he probably didn't even really spend the time looking into the deal. And come to find out, sources say, allegedly, that he used the same attorney that the label used, which is an absolute no-no. You never use the same attorney. Why? Because that attorney is only interested in their own pocket, and they are only interested in the interest of the people that they work for. So with that being said, just because they smile in your face and say, yeah, this is here. Look, here, sign here. Yeah, we're going to do this. And, we're going to make sure this. Just because they say that, don't believe any of it, because it's all about the bottom line for the label. And I believe, who else did a deal like that? Chingy. Chingy did the same thing when he signed with Disturbing the Peace. He used the lawyers that were with Disturbing the Peace, and then started to see that he wasn't getting the cut that he thought that he should have been getting. See, and then that's what happens when your deals are structured that way. So you need an attorney, and that's a hired attorney that you hired outside of the label in order for you to understand what your contract is saying. Because I'm going to tell you, there are a lot of people out here. You see them all on Facebook. You see them on YouTube. You see people on Instagram, and they're always flashing all this money, talking about they just signed the deal. They're doing this. They're making these moves. They're doing it. Yeah, they are. They're making moves. But guess who's getting paid? The label. And the label is giving them little bitty money, just trickling down money and trickling down money, to the point where that artist is going to realize that the amount of money that the label is giving them is not the amount of money that they should be getting, and that they probably should be getting way more than what it is that they are getting. Meanwhile, they're driving around, in a little, I don't know, a nice Chevy or, or Hellcat or something. But meanwhile, the label execs are riding around in Bentleys, and you're wondering why they have Bentleys and Cullinans and different things like that. Well, the reason why is because they have structured the contract to where they are going to eat off of it. Okay. And you're going to get pretty much what's left over. And with a 360 deal, it pretty much means, since the artists are not making as much money as they did back then with selling albums. See, back then when you sold albums, that was totally different from selling streams. So let's just say you had a complete album, and the album, they gave you so many points off the album, and each point equals a certain percentage. Now, back then, if you sold 10, 20 million albums, that's like going diamond twice. If you sold 10, 20 million albums, you ate extraordinarily good. Like artists like Nelly. Nelly sold 10 million copies on his first album. And because his deal was structured a certain way, he ate well off of that. And then when you added in the other albums that went platinum, he ate well off of that. And this was how his deal was structured. This is why it's important to have the right people in your corner, to look at the contracts, people to tell you what you shouldn't do and what you should do. Because that, let's just be honest. If you come from nothing and you flat broke, you don't got no money. All right. I mean, I'm going to say it like Finesse 2 times. You got no money. You flat broke. What you going to do? You're going to sign that contract. You know why you're going to sign that contract? Is because everybody is rooting for you. Everybody's counting on you. And a lot of the people that are counting on you, they're counting on you because they want some of that money too. Okay? That's just the truth be told. And so now you have this pressure that's sitting on you and the weight that's sitting on your shoulder. And so now you have to do what needs to be done. And so what you do is you go and you sign this contract. Now, I don't believe that Finesse 2 times personally took the time to look into it, because he didn't even know that he was in a 360 deal. And essentially a 360 deal just says that whatever you make money off of, we're going to make a percentage of it. So if you make money off shows, we're going to get paid. If you make money off of television, we're going to get paid. If you come out with a box of cereal, we're going to get paid. Okay. If you come out with a magazine and you're making money, we're going to get paid. And however it's structured, they may be getting more of a percentage of what it is that you're doing than you get. So just imagine if somebody gave you $1 million to sign. To you, $1 million is a lot of money. But $1 million is a lot of money to a person who's never had $1 million. But when you get $1 million, and then you get another $1 million and another $1 million, you realize that that $1 million doesn't go far, because you have to pay taxes on that $1 million. Now, that's damn near half, if not half, of what you have. So now you have to pay for studio time, you got to pay for videos, and you got to put at least your portion of the money down, because usually labels will put money in on the videos, but you have to put half of the money down yourself. So now, you have to figure out which songs are going to be strong songs that you think are going to sell the album, that you think are going to help promote you and help market you. So you're going to do videos for those songs. Now, let's just say you have 4 singles on your album, 4 strong singles, and you're trying to get the top amount of money, the most that you can get out of these sales. You're going to invest the money in videos to get people to watch the videos. And the videos, of course, are not just going to help you sell, but they're going to help people to know who you are. They're going to help people become into you, because it's not the music that sells. It's the artist that is selling. The artist is selling to the world. So that's what you have to understand. So with that being said, they invest a lot of money into these artists and they don't get the returns that they would have loved to get. And so now what they've done is attach themselves to everything that the artist does. Because that is what people invest in. People don't invest in your music. People invest in who you are. That's why you have people like Finesse Two Times. People who actually do music, and the music is no doubt tight as shit. I mean, straight up, his shit is fire. Not fire, but fire. Straight up. And I listen to Finesse Two Times a lot because the music is real, it's down to earth, and it's coming straight from the soul. And that's what I like to listen to. But at the same time, he's more entertaining, damn near, than he's known for the music almost. You can go online at any given time and you can find Finesse Two Times. I know that shit rhyme because I put it down that way. Okay, I knew it was gonna rhyme because that's the way I said it. All right, but I just say all that to say, record labels are not really, your music is one thing, okay? They don't give a damn what you're talking about in the song. You could be talking about absolutely nothing, but if it sounds good, if they think that the audience is gonna get, hooked on to it or whatnot, they're gonna put it out there. And that's why you see a lot of these artists that pop up, a lot of these young people that you've never seen anywhere else. You've never heard their music. You don't know their backstory. And then all of a sudden they pop up. Now, there are a few artists that you may know the back history on, especially if you know the artist personally. And so a lot of the times you're rooting for the artist because you've had history with these artists or you know these artists. And so you're rooting for them. But at the same time, they have to go through the same thing that everybody else has to go through. It just depends on what label they sign with, who they are dealing with, and what they're looking for. If you go into a label and you just got your hand out, the label see you coming. Somebody like Junior over at what is it now? It's not Rap a Lot anymore. Well, I guess it's either Rap a Lot or Mob Ties or whatever it is. Not to disrespect you all's label, but if you sign a deal with someone like that, and it's not that he's a bad business person per se, but it's just you have to understand that they go by certain principles, and they have people that are in their state, people that have been around them for years that don't want to sign deals with them. And then you go and you sign a deal with them and attach yourself to them. And now you're in a 360 deal in which you're not eating off of and you can't get out of. And now you are completely frustrated. And I believe, I forgot who it was that said it, but they were saying, hey, Finesse Two Times, he could easily just either do what he needs to do to try to, make things work with Junior over there, or if he needs to get out of the contract, he needs to figure out how. And the fact that he signed the contract without actually having his own attorney may be a loophole for him. Who knows? But that's something that he has to figure out. But what you have to understand, at the same time, you destroy a business relationship. So there's always a lot of variants that are involved in the midst of these types of deals and contracts, and people just don't know that. And then they put themselves in the position and then they feel fucked over. Well, I mean, hey, the game is shiesty, but it's fair. And there was a few times in my life that, me being a person that, well, of course I did. I wrote songs and rapped and did those things, but I was more into the production side. And there was a few times where there was artists who were about to sign with labels, major labels. And of course I would have gotten a nice chunk out of that for production work. However, because the people that introduced me to these artists were greedy people, they made sure that this deal was going to work for them more so work for me. And as a result of them being shady and them being shysty and them moving the way that they moved, the deal didn't go through. So those are the things that you have to look after. Or those are the things you have to look out for. And then on top of that, like, you have to look out for people who attach themselves to you. Now, I'm pretty sure anybody who's doing anything in the music industry, or anybody who's a known artist, or they're out here on the grind putting in work, you see that there's always certain individuals that attach themselves to you some type of way. And it's because they are probably talentless. However, they have enough, finesse in them to be able to finesse you. Not once, but 2 times. Hey, I'm just keeping it real. You know what I'm saying? I'm just keeping it 1,000. And so those are things that you have to pay attention to and watch out for. Like, I knew this one guy, and may he rest in peace, and I'm not going to say his name. But when I was coming up and I was making my rounds and being around artists and doing the whole thing, you know what I mean? He introduced me to a lot of different people. He introduced me to 8Ball and MJG. He introduced me to these industry parties. He introduced me to other major artists, and he showed me the ropes. So I had a lot of faith in this individual. And so one day we did a trip. We went down to Atlanta, and we had a conversation with DJ Jelly. At the time, DJ Jelly was with Big Oomp Records. And shout out to DJ Jelly, by the way. And we had this conversation with him, and he was listening to the music that I had produced and that I had written and that I performed. And he was feeling what it is that I was doing. And as he was talking to this other individual, he was bobbing to it. And he asked me, he was like, yo, did you put all that together yourself? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, man, he's like, yeah, let me get one of them, So I gave him one of my CDs or whatnot. And I even gave him like basically a whole packet. It had a picture, it had a bio, it had all of those different things. And I gave him all of that. And the very first thing this other individual did was just slide right in, like, yeah, we working on his, his album right now. We doing blah, blah. This guy was not working on anything with me right at that moment at all. But because he felt like there was a possibility that I could end up working with Big Oomp, which then wouldn't involve him, he tried to make it hard for me to be able to get in contact with Big Oomp. And so because I was a loyal type person and I didn't want to come off disrespectful and I didn't want to come off like I didn't trust my guy, so I trusted him to get phone numbers for me, to give phone numbers out, to do certain things. And come to find out, he never did that. Because what he was doing was, if he couldn't eat off of it, he made sure that I wouldn't eat off of it. And so those are the things that you have to look out for. There are a lot of traps in this industry. There are a lot of people in this industry that smile in your face. They don't want to take your place. They just want to keep making money off of you. And yes, they are going to stab you in the back, for real. And they're going to stab you in the back while they're making money off of you. And then they're going to smile in your face, and then they're going to gaslight you about it. So this industry is a treacherous place. Okay. And then no matter how they make it seem, when you look at these artists and you look at these artists at these events and everybody's all happy and everybody wants to be amongst these artists and everything. Listen, I've been around so many recording artists that were major artists, and the common denominator with all of these people is that they are always looking over their shoulder. They don't trust anybody. Okay. They will go from smiling 1 second to going completely off on the whole entire crew because they don't trust anybody. They are that paranoid because there's a lot that come with it. I remember when this same individual introduced me to an industry party. I had never been to an industry party. We went to Miami. We met so many different celebrities, okay? And we got invited to this party, all right? Now, this party was involving the whole floor of this hotel. Well, the whole one wing of the floor of this hotel. And in this party, every room on that wing was a part of the party. There were 4 rooms on that wing, and each room had something different going on in it. Now, the room that we went in, it seemed chill. We went in. They actually had a bar set up. They had a DJ in there doing some things. And it was literally a nice size hotel room. It had a kitchen, had the bedroom, all of that different stuff. And it was on the beach, Miami Beach or South Beach. And I can recall that the people that were there were a little on the extra friendly side, if you know what I mean. The ladies that were there, they didn't even know you from a can of paint. And they would just come, just sit on your lap, get to doing all kind of, different things. And you're sitting there and you're like literally amazed that this is happening. But at the same time, you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute, I'm drinking, I'm drunk, my inhibitions are down, I got to be careful. And so everybody's there having a great time. They're doing whatever it is that they want to do. And when I say that, I mean whatever it is that they want to do. And those things do take place. And that's just in one room. So when you go to another room, you might see some things that you didn't want to see going down. And those things do happen in the industry. Now, I'm not saying there aren't highlights in the industry where you go to certain parties and get business done, or there's real networking taking place. I'm not saying that, because there are those too. But the majority of the times, these people that are record execs and people that work for these labels, they try to get artists in a compromising position. And the reason why they do this is because this will be used against the artist when the artist realizes that they are being duped, realizes that they're being taken for all of the money that they've worked for. And then now the artist gets upset, and the artist goes and says, hey, I'm going to get an attorney to get out of this contract. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to expose them. And so now they have you in a compromising position. And then you're wondering, well, how did I even get myself into that? Well, you got yourself into it because you were looking at the money. You were looking at what you can potentially become. And you've now put yourself in a position where your sexuality may be questioned. You see, and this is how a lot of these artists get into situations like that. And there are a lot of scary stories. And there are a lot of artists that you wouldn't think are the opposite of what they portray to be. So you have to understand that this is a treacherous game. And I would say to any artist who wants to get in this game, you have to be prepared for whatever is going to come your way. Yes, you're going to enjoy the highlights of it. You're going to enjoy going to the studio, meeting new people, and doing this and doing that. You're going to enjoy all those things, but that shit comes with a gang of other stuff. I mean, you might be hanging around a record exec, right? You might be around this person for so long, you might think that you know them like that, and they might be cheerful every time you come around, treating you like family, giving you dap, giving you hugs, you know what I'm saying, bigging you up all the time, doing this, taking you to all these events. And then as soon as you say no to anything, they turn on you just like that. Just in a blink of an eye, they become a whole different person. And that's because that person is who they were the whole time. That is the reason why you have to understand that this industry is a treacherous place. All right. And so anybody who is trying to get into it, I would say this: you should go independent. Young Dolph, may he rest in peace, but Young Dolph used to say all the time, independence is the only way that he could go. Signing the deal was not what he was about. It was going to be, if he was going to sign a deal, it was going to be a partnership. And it was going to be for an awful lot of money because he knew what his worth was. And so he went independent. He bet on himself. He invested in himself. Yeah, he may have turned down that big check. And see, and I think that's what a lot of people do. They see that big check in their face and they're like, man, this could change my life right now. This could change the lives of the people around me right now. And yeah, that is a noble way of thinking, but it's actually not a smart way of thinking when it comes to dealing with labels, because the money that they give you is essentially a loan. And they want the money back with interest. And let's just say that you don't sell enough streams, because now that's what they're selling now. They're selling streams. So let's just say you don't sell enough streams. So now you're in the red. Now, a lot of the times, these labels, they may pretend like they really believe in you. And then they be like, okay, but it's cool. So we could just put this next joint out and that should bring us up to speed. Well, what they've just did was they've put this next joint out. Now, what that may have offered you is the opportunity to get yet another advance. And then only a stupid individual wouldn't see that coming. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't. And so they go for that next advance. Soon as they do it, bam, fucked in the game. Because now you not only owe still from the first advance, you now owe for another advance. So you better hope and pray that the song that they just put out sells millions and millions and millions of streams, because that is the only way you're going to be able to pay that back. And then after you pay that back, you may not have zero left for yourself. But see, if you go independent, you may not get that money up front. However, if you invest in self, you can build that money up. You can build your reputation up. You can build your brand up. And then now your brand's going to be worth much, much more. And you're going to eat off of your brand instead of someone else eating off of it. And that's how artists like Dolph had so much money coming in, because he was independent. You always have to think independent. You mean you look at artists like Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar signed to Top Dog Records. Now, I don't know his complete situation now. I don't know if he's still dealing with Top Dog or not, but I know he still does a lot of work with Top Dog. However, you know, he's independent now. He has PF Lang, and he's able to do the things that he wants to do, and he's able to make the money that he should be making, versus having to split the money with another label, which then has to split the money with a distribution company. So you got a lot of artists in the industry that are artists that are signed to a label, that's signed to a label, that's signed to somebody else. And I mean, the money touches 3 or 4 hands before it gets to the artist. So by the time it gets to the artist is getting a check for 50 grand. And then they sitting and looking ridiculously puzzled, because they're like, shit, I just sold, 100 million streams, and all I'm getting is 50 G's. Yeah, that part. That's how they get you. So I'm telling you, if you are trying to get into the music industry, it is imperative that you do what you do, and you do it, while you are just independent. Don't waste your time trying to look for a label to sign you. And what people don't understand is, when you're looking for a label to sign you, more than likely, they're not going to sign you. A label can see who's doing what. They're going to approach you. So again, if you focus on what it is that you're doing, and you invest in you, and you focus on your craft, building your brand, the labels are going to come out. Now, you have to ask yourself this: if you've built your brand independently, why in the hell would you sign with a label? Just because you always wanted to work with that label, or you always wanted to work with that exec. See, let's try, who is this? Yo Gotti, for instance, right? When Yo Gotti first signed, I remember he signed to TVT. He bought himself out of the contract, and he was working with Kia Shine for a minute. Shout out to Shine. And again, Gotti was always business savvy. And so when he had the understanding that the contracts that he had was not going to work for him in the overall, in the long run. He bought himself out of those deals and went independent. He bet on himself. And because he did that, he built an entire empire. And the artists that are signed to this man's label are artists that are doing very well. So that is a prime example. You have to bet on self. Yes, it may not happen right then and there because you bet on self, but if you keep grinding at it, it will happen if the Most High will. And you have to ask yourself too, is this really what you want to be doing? Do you actually even want to be in the industry? Because another thing that people don't understand is when the business of music and creativity sometimes clash. So what do I mean by that? So they may have a business model, just like any company, right? And they may base that model off of previous dealings or off of what's the standard. So if there's a specific type of music that's out, that's popping, and all of the artists that do this specific thing seem to do well, what do you think the label's going to want you to do? Exactly. They're going to want you to do exactly what it is that you see everybody else doing. And the reason why is because it's already a proven method. And so when you try to come outside of that with your own creativity and your own mind, that may or may not work with the agenda. And so now, because you've signed to them, they pretty much own the rights to you and your name. Now they're going to basically demand that you move and do what it is that they want done. Now imagine you one of those people that when you first started out, you know, you had songs that talked about shit that really you shouldn't even be talking about. Things that just, you know, that's not gonna help anybody to be uplifted or not gonna bring the community up, or, you know, you're just talking about low ball shit, low energy shit, you know, low vibe type shit. And even though you did that and it actually worked from the beginning, because that is one of the things that the label can clearly see. People like negativity. And so if the label sees that negativity is selling, they're going to want you to put in more negativity because that is what's selling. And so now you've gotten to a point where you decide that, hey, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to do something different. I want to be different. Okay, I want to uplift my community. I want to come with better music, you know, a higher standard of music. And then you start to elevate and transform your music into something else. Now, what ends up happening is you have a clash with the label now because they aren't feeling where you're going with the new music that you have. And so now they're going to encourage you in so many different ways to continue to do the low vibrational shit that you're doing, to continue to keep people in the same position that they've always been in. And so that's how the game works. And so you'll ask yourself, why is it that every artist that get in the game, they all rap the same shit? And it actually gets on your nerve after a while. And they all rap the same shit. Even in R&B or, you know, other genres of music. Okay, even in R&B, it's the standard for a person to get into R&B and talk about love and different things like that. That's the standard because that has been a proven model. But if a person gets into R&B and gets to talking about God or gets to talking about something that's peaceful or something that's uplifting, something outside of the norm, they may be uneasy about that because it's probably not going to sell. At least that's what they're thinking. So if you take somebody like Tory Lanez, who decided that, hey, I see what my potential is, and I see how people are gravitating towards my music and towards who I am. People want to know who I am. And I see this. So I'm going to be independent. And because he was smart enough to invest in himself, and because he was smart enough to think the way that he thought, he sold over 1 million streams in like what, 12 hours? And believe me, the labels went crazy when they seen this shit. And they went crazy because they knew that if other artists were to repeat what it is that Tory Lanez did, they would essentially be out of business. So I'm not saying that Tory Lanez is in the situation he's in because, you know, somebody wants him there because they want him out the way. I'm not saying that, but it sure do look that way, you know. But that's another thing you have to worry about. You have to pay attention to your surroundings, because there are a lot of people that if you don't move the way that they want you to move, they will destroy heaven and hell to try to make sure that your life is, you know, not going anywhere. That's exactly what these people do in the industry. But anyway, y'all, check this out. We're going to get into, with that being said, we're going to get into some actual artists today. So we got 3 artists that we're getting into today. We want to listen to 2 songs. 2 of the artists I like to call the Botswana Connection. That's Flexi R7 and Young Lava Kid. I've had the pleasure of interviewing them before, and there is a new interview coming up. I believe it's next week, actually, because they have some new music out, and they've been featured on a lot of different stations, award shows over in Botswana and even over in the States. And, you know, they're building their brand. And I am grateful to be a part of that experience with them, because I believed in them before they even did what it is that they did. And I told them from the gate, I believe that you all are going to succeed. And the reason why I believe that is because despite the fact that they're over in Botswana, Africa, they still have the hunger and the hustle. And you can tell that in their music, okay? So without further ado, we're going to get into the first joint, which of course is by Flexi R7 and Young Lava Kid. And this is BHF. And you heard it right here, man, on the Red Spot Podcast. So let's get right to it.
Fiction is power, we're saving our body on the verge. I'm focused on my gang, we don't wanna go back to the tens. Right now on the road, we're gonna break down what you owe. We're gonna go hard to tear apart, you ain't pulling up cause you owe. Fiction is power, we're saving our body on the verge. I'm focused on my gang, we don't wanna go back to the tens. Right now on the road, we're gonna break down what you owe. We're gonna go hard to tear apart, you ain't pulling out cause you owe.
Fight hustlers, it's our gang. We gonna bang bang. We are the fighters, we are the hustlers. Come from nothing. We wanna blow up. We were born poor. We gonna die rich. I'm gonna say that God is with us. We gonna pray. This is re-up. We wanna succeed. I know where I come from. This is Flexi. This is my story. I don't have a father. I love my mother. I'm gonna move from a town. I'm gonna hustle. I'll never fall. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna shine like a sun. My life gonna change. I'm gonna rule like a king. Me and the kid, we gonna rule. Give us some weed. We gonna smoke. Fixing some shit, I'm gonna pop it, you gonna pop up. This is a race, we gonna run it, till in a coffin.
Fiction is power, we're saving our body on the verge. I'm focused on my gang, we don't wanna go back to the tens. Right now on the road, we're gonna break down what you owe. We're gonna go hard to tear apart, you ain't pulling up cause you owe. Fiction is power, we're saving our body on the verge. I'm focused on my gang, we don't wanna go back to the tens. Right now on the road, we're gonna break down what you owe. We're gonna go hard to tear apart, you ain't pulling out cause you owe. Cranked up going home, used to eat beef with the low. Cold nights to the shows, we had to take care of what you owed. More times on the way, we had to focus on the road. We had to hold up till you go far, while you falling off, gotta score. If it's the game, never go switch. That what it takes, we keep making hits. Ride or die, nobody can feed. We just gonna slide, we carefully pee. Respect, no cutting my days. I'm a go down, you don't on my way. Every day we gotta get paid. Making my shit, you know the name. I be popping the shit with my gang. They go lie whenever we land. Understand them niggas are scared. We're hoping they beat them, we do our dance. Oh, whoa.
Yes, sir, man. Flexi R7 and Young Lava Kid Beach HF. Now, y'all, I want y'all to tell me what you think in the comments, how this sounds, what you think about the song itself, okay? But I'm going to tell y'all right now, I'm feeling the joint. And the reason why I'm feeling it is because when you really listen to it, you see that not only are they talking about the grind that it took to get them to where they at and the grind that it's gonna take to get to where they are going, but I mean, they share the same issues that people in this country share, especially people that look like us, people that come from, you know, the trenches, people that come from the ghetto, people that come from nothing. I mean, you clearly heard Flexi saying that, you know, he don't have a father. You know what I'm saying? And we know that what not having a father means to a lot of us black men in our community. So you see that the struggle is real and it's all over the place. It's not just, you know, here in America, but it's everywhere. And these two young men are talking about the grind. They talking about the grimy part of it. You know what I mean? They talking about not only what it takes to get to where they're trying to get to, but the sacrifices that they are going to have to endure to get to where they're trying to get to. So I give Flexi R7, all right, and Young Lava Kid a 100 on that one, y'all. You know what I'm saying? I give them 100 on that. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I give them a 100 on that. Yep. So y'all already know too, man. You know what I'm saying? What we about to get into now is St. Louis own Kel Been On It. Now I'm gonna let y'all know right now. Kel Been On It is my son. Yes, he is my son's son. All right. Okay, my real son. For those people that don't know. And I love him dearly and all that good shit. But although I do, when I let y'all listen to this joint right here, you either feeling it or you not. And you let me know in the comments what you think. And if it's some bull, then it's some bull. All right? He not getting no free rides, no none of that, just because he is my son's son. All right? So that's where we going with this. So we're going to get right into it. Kel Been On It. All right? And let's get to it.
I was outside them kills, I don't give a fuck about none of these hoes, I'm forgetting. Outside, I don't give a fuck about niggas, yeah. Outside the cut, I'm glitchy, yeah. I don't give a fuck about any of these niggas, yeah. Bitch, she broke my heart, she left me down on my knees, she left me down with my niggas. Hell nah, I'ma get money, I was outside, fuck what you talking about, hoes on my dick. Bounce out 100 round on my drum. Playing games, you gon' run. I pull your block with this gun. Fuck out my face when you been better run. Yeah. Hoes on me right now. I been getting money all the time right now. Fuck what you talking about. I was outside them kills, you talking that shit. I'ma make your ass walk it out. Fuck what you talking about. Hoes they be on my dick and they be inside my house. Huh. Looking at me right now, I pull up on your block right now, I'ma gun his ass down. I was outside the kills right now, fuck what you talking about, bitch, right now. Hoes, they gon' come and go, I swear to God, leave me alone, I'm finna go to the store. I was outside them kills, I don't give a fuck about none of these hoes, I'm forgetting. Outside, I don't give a fuck about niggas, yeah. Outside the cut, I'ma get you, yeah. I don't give a fuck about any of these niggas, yeah. Bitch, she broke my heart, she left me down on my knees, she left me down with my niggas. Hell nah, I'ma get money, I was outside, fuck talking about hoes in my dick. Bounce out 100 round on a drum. Game, you gon' run. I pull on your block with this gun. Fuck out my face, but you bitch better run. Yeah. I was outside them kills. I don't give a fuck about none of these hoes. I'm scared. Yeah. I don't give a fuck about anything. Yeah. Bitch, she broke my heart. She let me down on my knees. She let me down on my knees. Hell no. I was outside. Fuck what you talking about? Hoes in my jeans. Bounce out honey round on my gun. I pull on your block with this gun. Fuck out my face, but you bitch better run. Yeah.
Yes, sir, man. That's Kel been on it outside, you know what I mean? And I'm gonna tell y'all right now, what I think about that joint is I feel like, you know, he was on some real shit because these is his real emotions. Okay, if you know anything about Kel is one of those type of peoples who wears his emotions on his sleeve. I mean, whatever it is he feel about something, he's gonna say just that. And I feel like these were real emotions, things that he was going through at the time and things that he may be going through. Okay, so in my opinion, I feel like this is a go. I feel like I want to see more from him. I feel like I want to see more growth from him, but this is a go. So let me know what y'all think about it in the comments, all right? And then this way, we can get something next from Kel Bernard. Anyway, y'all, we gonna give him a round of applause because, you know, yeah. Yeah. We like to give him a round of applause, man, because the reason why is because, you know, I want to salute all the artists and, you know, just understand that you got to keep grinding with what it is that you're doing. Nobody started what they was doing and the shit started out popping right at the top. I mean, I know you know a lot of artists out here who it may seem like that's the way things happen for them, but nah. You don't know the songs. Like, people might do 150 songs, and out of 150 songs, you might get 10 of those joints that actually sound halfway good. So, I mean, it's just not an easy task, especially just imagine if you make an album and your album just goes platinum, right? And then all of a sudden you got to turn around and now you got to top that. So just think, if you barely went platinum the first time, you did 147 damn songs in order to get 10 good ones out of that. Imagine what you're going to have to do on this next go round. So I would encourage artists, you know what I'm saying, to do your thorough thizzle and, you know, so you can get to where you're trying to get to, y'all. Anyway, man, of course, this the Red Spot Podcast, man, and I encourage y'all to invest in yourself, all right? And I also encourage you to be a sponsor for the Red Spot Podcast or give donations, yes. And if you want to give donations to be a sponsor, I'm going to say it again. Send an email to redspotpodcast@gmail.com and somebody going to get back to you and we going to make this junk happen, all right, y'all? But anyway, y'all, such y'all beats. I'm going to salute y'all until next Sunday and y'all be easy. Yep.
Streets 99.3. You are now tuned in to the Red Spot Podcast.